Tech support scammers take more than $200,000 from an elderly woman. One of them was in court today.
A former Navy SEAL found dead in the Anza Borrego Desert. The question is, what happened to the woman who was with him, who is now missing?
A forensic artist helping solve a San Diego cold case, how he's using 3D printing and clay to do it.
The number of people who can't afford to live in San Diego is disheartening. What leaders are doing to address the challenges low-income families face.
A preview of Wade into Water, a film on Black aquatic and surf history.
Slamdy.
Ego.
Slamdy.
Ego.
Joe Dreams has a message to share.
And I'm taking it to the streets.
CBS 8 News Live at 6 starts now.
New tonight, a man is in custody accused of scamming a 65-year-old woman out of more than $200,000 of her life savings. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
I'm Marcella Lee. He was in court just a couple hours ago. CBS 8's Brian White is live at the Hall of Justice with what happened in court today. Brian?
It was a quick proceeding for 22-year-old Zi Gao, whose arraignment was postponed because the interpreter he needed was unavailable this afternoon. Now, the DA's office is using this case as a warning to everyone about these types of scams.
My understanding is that your client needs the Mandarin interpreter. Is that correct?
Suspect Zi Gao in custody, appearing before the judge today. His arraignment, though, rescheduled for Friday.
If we can save one elderly person from the turmoil, the pain, the suffering of losing their livelihood, we want to do it today.
San Diego County District Attorney Summer Stephan sending an alert to all people, especially vulnerable seniors. The scammers are out there.
They don't just leave a hole in the victim's pocket, they leave a hole in their heart. They feel so much depression after these incidents from the loss, but also from a feeling that that the world has let them down.
In this case, an elderly woman with significant health issues fell prey to ruthless scammers who took most of her life savings. Here's how this tech support scam worked.
The victim's computer froze, and then a pop-up message that appeared like it was from Microsoft told her to call a number to help her fix her computer. When she called the number, they charged what appeared to be a reasonable cost of $120 that began them down the route of taking all of her money.
They followed up by calling her and pretending to be Chase Bank, saying they detected fraud and needed her to withdraw money and hand the cash off to one of their couriers. Over several weeks, she gave $20,000 and $30,000 at a time for a grand total of more than $200,000.
Take a breath and resist the pressure to act quickly. Essentially, slow down and call a friend. Perpetrators create a sense of urgency to produce fear and lure victims into immediate action.
Her family noticed the suspicious activity in her account and called police, who then set up a sting with another cash pickup. And when Gao showed up, law enforcement was waiting.
Sadly, in most cases, the money is lost, and this is why prevention is so critical.
Gao is charged with attempted grand theft, attempting receiving stolen property, and resisting arrest. He faces up to 2 years and 6 months in state prison if convicted.
Zi Gao remains in custody on $125,000 bail, and again, his arraignment has been postponed to Friday. Carlo?
This kind of thing is just so heartbreaking, but it also just makes you angry. And we know that these scammers are getting bolder every day. Do we know how many seniors are falling victims to these crimes?
Carl, I don't have that exact number on the count on the number of people, but what I can tell you is that so far this year in San Diego County, there's been $76 million worth in losses relating to elder fraud, and that's up from $49 million last year. Carlo?
That is a tremendous amount of money. Brian White reporting for us. Thanks, Brian.
A mysterious death in the Anza Borrego Desert is leading to a lot of unanswered questions about a woman who is still missing. The remains of a former Navy SEAL, John Fitzpatrick, were found last month in the desert. As CBS 8's David Gottfredson reports, the woman is a Chinese national who had flown to this country to meet up with Fitzpatrick.
52-year-old John Fitzpatrick and 47-year-old Fang Jin first met on social media, and soon they wanted to meet in person. Jin lived in China, and she promised her family she would keep in touch after flying to Los Angeles on July 14th and eventually meeting up with Fitzpatrick in Palm Springs on July 15th. On July 16th, the couple was seen on surveillance video purchasing toiletries at the Marine Corps Exchange on base at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in 29 Palms. Fitzpatrick was a former Navy SEAL, honorably discharged in 2010, who lived at the Roadrunner Mobile Home Park in nearby Morongo Valley. The pair took a hiking trip in the desert, and Jin was staying at the mobile home with Fitzpatrick. These are photos of Jin cleaning up inside the mobile home, given to CBS 8 by a friend of Fitzpatrick. Jin continued to send photos to her family in China until the messages suddenly stopped. The last video she sent to her family was this one, shot at night on July 22nd on Adobe Road just miles from the Marine base in 29 Palms. Relatives reported Jin missing on July 26th, and a friend reported Fitzpatrick missing 4 days later on July 30th. San Bernardino sheriffs put out missing persons flyers on both of them. And on August 1st, investigators served this search warrant on Fitzpatrick's mobile home looking for evidence. They found suitcases belonging to Jin, a straw hat, and Jin's white purse with her belongings inside. Officers also smelled something disturbing inside the mobile home, the odor of decomposition. For the next month and a half, the couple remained missing until Fitzpatrick's Toyota pickup truck was located in the Anza Borrego Desert in the Harper Flats area. Later, a hiker found his skeletal remains in the Harper Canyon area on September 17th. We tiled out the photos of the bones because they're somewhat gruesome. Fitzpatrick's autopsy remains sealed, and San Diego Sheriff has not released the cause of death. The big question now is, where is Fang Jin? According to the San Bernardino County Sheriff, Fang Jin was last heard from on July 22nd. Her cell phone has not been found, and, quote, "We did not receive any phone pings from Jin's phone." Fitzpatrick's truck was found in Harper Flats. His remains were found in Harper Canyon. San Diego Sheriff's Department is not releasing any details about his death. Now, if you have any information about the whereabouts of Fang Jin, contact the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department because the missing person case is in their jurisdiction. David Gottfredson, CBS 8.
Thank you, David. A recent grand jury report found that road repairs around the city of San Diego are suffering from a lack of funding. Today, the San Diego City Council discussed the results. The grand jury recommends the city pass a law that would commit San Diego to a minimum amount of annual funding for road repairs, but the City Council doesn't want to commit to that at this point. Mayor Gloria's budget for this year included $140 million for repairs, and it seems that would be the minimum needed moving forward. To learn more about the report, go to CBS8.com.
A well-known forensic artist is in San Diego showcasing one of his latest projects, a 3D clay image of an unidentified teenager whose body was discovered in Imperial Beach nearly 30 years ago.
CBS 8's Shannon Handy is live at the medical examiner's office with details including how he did it. Shannon.
Carlo and Marcella, this is a fascinating story. While the medical examiner's office is able to identify the majority of remains that come in here, there are some people they have not been able to identify for years. That's where forensic artist Joe Mullins comes in.
I'm a forensic artist with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
It's a job Joe Mullins has had for 25 years, creating images that can help identify people who have gone missing or those who have been found but never named.
Our job is to give these nameless victims their identity back.
I met Joe at the San Diego Convention Center, where the annual conference of the International Association of Police Chiefs is taking place. The FBI invited him to demonstrate how he uses skeletal remains to make 3D sculptures. The one you're seeing is that of a possible teenage boy who was found floating in the Tijuana River in Imperial Beach back in 1995.
We're not able to figure out who he was, so the remains were placed in a numbered grave, basically.
Fast Fast forward 28 years later, knowing he'd be in town, Joe asked the San Diego medical examiner if he could help with a local cold case. From there, they exhumed the John Doe's remains. Joe then called Rady Children's Hospital, who agreed to do a CT scan of the skeleton, as well as a 3D print of it so he could get to work. Over the course of just 3 days, he built this sculpture using the 3D printed skull and clay.
It's telling the full story, everything of the face. If somebody had an overbite or an underbite, those are characteristics that you wouldn't necessarily see in that flat 2D image.
Unlike many cold cases where a victim is found in a state of decay, this one included details about what his hair looked like and what he was wearing. But his face was unrecognizable, having been in the water for so long, which is why Joe says a photograph of the actual victim wasn't enough to figure out who he was.
This is a combination of art and science to come together to put these faces back on here.
A face he hopes someone will recognize. This John Doe is believed to be a Hispanic male between 15 and 30 years old, 5'3" and 150 pounds. He had an earring in his left ear, 2 crucifix necklaces, black jeans, a green zip-up hoodie, and black low-top shoes with a red stripe.
We want somebody to see this finished facial approximation and say, I think I know who that is. Now that family will now have answers that they haven't had for, since 1995.
And if you have any information about this case, you are urged to call the San Diego Sheriff's Department or the medical examiner. Again, Joe says all it takes is one person to recognize that face.
It's great to see this effort, Shannon. Do you know if any of these sculptures have worked before in solving cold cases?
Yeah, Joe says they have worked before. He not only did this for the San Diego Medical Examiner, but this is something that he does for medical examiners across the country, and we're seeing more of. Again, he says it's using the newer technology with the 3D printing and blending that with clay, which has been used for decades, but he says it is a process that works.
It's really fascinating. Thanks so much for sharing that, Shannon.
Still ahead tonight, is the U.S. bringing back the draft? We verify.
Plus, it's the high price of paradise, and you may be feeling it. The number of people, the number of households here in California who can say they no longer make ends meet.
We are just 2 minutes away from our official sunset time, and it's a glorious one out there. Now we're going to see the clouds rolling in for tonight and also potentially dealing with some dense fog yet again. Those details ahead.
A new film out, Wade into Water, looks at black surfing and aquatic history, and you can see it tomorrow night at the California Surf Museum. I'm Sean Stiles. I'll have a preview coming up on CBS 8.